Well, hey there, Abernathy Antelope football fans. Welcome inside another edition of the Abernathy Antelope pregame show. Ty Horsford here with you, voice of the Abernathy Antelopes. Abernathy getting ready for their final non-district tune-up coming up Friday night as they make their third road trip in 5 games to begin the season as they head to Littlefield this evening to battle the Littlefield Wildcats. Should be a fun one here tonight. The Antelopes looking to play spoiler for the Littlefield Wildcat homecoming festivities tonight, right down Highway 54 in Littlefield. So it should be a good one tonight between the Abernathy Antelopes and the Littlefield Wildcats. We're here today to preview that one, get you set for that matchup. But before we jump into that contest and get you ready, we want to take a look back to last week. Kind of a weird just turn of events last Friday night. It was a exceptional game like we expected between the Abernathy Antelopes and the Post Antelopes in a battle for Antelope supremacy. I've had lots of questions this week, lots of talk this week. Of course, the game suspended, initially delayed, and then officially suspended or canceled with 6:37 left to play in the third quarter due to lightning, followed by some torrential rain. Just could never get that contest in. And so the game called midway through the third quarter. You had a situation where it was a tight ball game. Post was leading the Abernathy Antelopes 14-13. Post was driving, but they were also facing a third down and goal from outside the 10-yard line. And a big play was going to be coming up right before lightning struck and delayed the contest and ultimately canceled the contest. So lots of questions surrounding what does that mean? What is the result of that game? You know, you can jump on social media mediums. You've got people from Post saying one thing, people from Abernathy saying another. Nobody really knows, and the truth of the matter is no one really knows what this is officially going to go down as. You know, in talking to Coach Daly earlier in the week, it's possible that at some point the UIL rules this a no contest. To my knowledge, no ruling in that regard has been made yet. But at the end of the day, it's a non-district contest. It's not going to have any bearing on postseason, district, anything like that. So as far as that is concerned, not a huge deal. And so really kind of what you have in most ways that you look at it, at least to this point, the Abernathy Antelopes losing their first game, 3-1 now. We'll put an asterisk by that 3-1. But again, you know Coach Daly's going to use that. It's just a motivation for his team. Not necessarily a bad thing, as the Abernathy Antelopes, again, were trailing 14-13 midway through that third quarter. Who knows what would have happened? Obviously, as an optimistic Antelope fan, I feel like Abernathy had a great chance in the second half of that ball game. But, man, it was just a hard-fought battle between two really, really good teams, and you just hate to not be able to finish it because I feel like weather interrupted what might have been an instant classic, if you will, last week between the Bold Gold Antelopes of Post, who were set to have a great season. Expect them to have a great run in the Class 2A playoffs. In fact, they're my pick to win that district, especially after seeing them play. Very, very impressed with Post last Friday night. Very physical. They gave the Antelopes a good challenge. And Abernathy, they responded well. It was a good ball game. Who knows what would have transpired in the last quarter and a half. There was a lot of football left to be played. But so what we'll say for now, Abernathy Antelopes 3-1 on the season. Again, there could be a UIL ruling later that rules that a no contest. But you know what? We're not going to worry about that. Let's use it as motivation and let's move forward. As the Abernathy Antelopes getting ready, their final tune-up, like we said, before district play, as they travel to Littlefield tonight to battle those Littlefield Wildcats. Few game notes about this one. These two teams, they used to be in a district with one another. Now for the last couple of years, they've played in the non-district portion of their schedule. And last year, Littlefield made the trip to Abernathy. And it was the Antelopes getting the best of Littlefield on that night, 45-0. As 45-0, Abernathy blanked the Littlefield Wildcats. I think you have an improved Littlefield team from a year ago, but also a team that, as an Antelope fan and probably coaching staff and players, if you come out, you take care of business, play Antelope football the way you can, you should be in good shape tonight against the Littlefield Wildcats. Littlefield coming in at 2-2 so far on the season. They are coming off of a win. They kind of had an interesting situation last Friday night as well. They're coming off of I say last Friday night, it turned into last Saturday afternoon. Again, their game with Tahoka got canceled due to weather as well. In Tahoka, the two teams decided they wanted to play it. And so on Saturday afternoon, they went to Tahoka and they played the football game. Littlefield coming out with a 28-19 victory over the Tahoka Bulldogs last Saturday afternoon in a game that was pushed back a day due to weather. So you've got a Littlefield Wildcat team that is 2-2 coming into this homecoming tilt for them against the Abernathy Antelopes. Wins so far for Littlefield as we kind of scout the opponent a little bit, if you will. They defeated Snyder, the Snyder Tigers, in their season opener, 34-27, to get the season off to a 1-0 start. They had a couple of losses in there. Denver City beat them 48-14. Idalou topped the Wildcats 38-21. And then last week, like we mentioned, that 28-19 victory for Littlefield as they knocked off the Tahoka Bulldogs. Offensively, Littlefield's been decent. They come in averaging 24 points on offense per contest. Defensively, that's been their weakness. They've struggled on defense as the Wildcats giving up 33 points per contest. And that's a number probably that has the Abernathy Antelopes, who come in averaging 40 points a game, licking their chops a little bit. Hopefully the Abernathy offense can kind of get on track early and have a big night Friday in Littlefield. So giving up 33 points a game, they're scoring 24 points per game, are the Littlefield Wildcats. And if you know anything about Littlefield football over the course of as long as I can remember, and probably long before that, they're going to rely on a heavy rushing attack. Littlefield, they're not fancy. They want to line up. They want to run the football. And that is their MO. And that's what you're going to see mostly from the Wildcats. As last week, you had two guys in Daniel Stinson and Davin Saldana, both of those backs for the Littlefield Wildcats, rush for over 100 yards and touchdowns in the win over Tahoka last Friday night. So keep an eye on Stinson and Saldana in that Littlefield backfield. They're going to get the bulk of the offensive load on Friday night when the Antelopes come to town. But also, I do feel like Littlefield may be a little bit of a threat this year that they haven't had in previous years, at least recent previous years, in a passing game. You've got a quarterback in Blake Green who's a capable thrower. In fact, he completed 4 passes last week, but for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not a bad number for a quarterback at this level. The problem with him is maybe consistency. He threw 2 picks along with those 2 touchdowns last Saturday afternoon against Tahoka. So Blake Green at quarterback, he's got some ability, but if Abernathy defensively can put some pressure on Green, maybe you force him into making some mistakes as well. You know, Abernathy's defense, they've played really, really well 2 weeks ago against Wellington, forcing 6 turnovers. So that will definitely be a key to watch out for coming up at Wildcat Stadium on Friday night in Littlefield. The Wildcats, they compete in a very difficult District 2-3A Division 1. So they're a couple notches above, well, actually just one notch above the Abernathy Antelopes. Abernathy 3A Division 2, Littlefield 3A Division 1. And out of District 2, they compete in that district with the likes of Bushland, Slayton, River Road, Shallowater, and Muleshoe. So a tough road to hoe coming up for the Littlefield Wildcats in district play. It's kind of ironic. Abernathy has seen 3 of those teams this year. after they play Littlefield. They also saw Slayton in a scrimmage. And then, of course, they opened the season this year with the River Road. So Abernathy getting a heavy dose of that District 2 3A Division 1 here prior to the district season starting in a couple of weeks. So the Abernathy Antelopes getting ready to battle the Littlefield Wildcats. That's scouting the opponent a little bit, if you will. Let's switch gears and let's talk about those Abernathy Antelopes. Abernathy, again, coming off of that 14-13 loss for now, I guess you can say, with an asterisk next to it. They trailed 14-13 in the third quarter before that game with Post last week was called due to lightning. The Abernathy Antelopes come in still outscoring their opponents in 2019 on average of 40-12. So Abernathy has looked really, really good so far here in 2019. On offense, Abernathy averaging right at 335 yards per contest. They've moved the ball efficiently. Really, with the exception of last week, Post defense was a little tougher, but Abernathy still through, 2.5 quarters, mustered about 130 yards of total offense. 233 per Friday night on the ground for Abernathy. Again, like Littlefield, a team in Abernathy, they want to run the football first. You've got a dual threat quarterback in Bryson Daly who can run. You've got a capable back in Avery Clarkson that's averaging almost 90 yards per contest. And so Abernathy, they want to use those weapons and they want to run the football, but you also have 103 yards through the air. So kind of like Littlefield, they run first, but they can beat you through the air if they need to, and they've done that at different times over the last couple of years. We mentioned quarterback Daly. Bryson coming in averaging 109 yards on the ground, 97 through the air. He leads the team in both rushing and passing. Not a surprise there. Bryson Daly, the 4-year starting quarterback, leads this Abernathy Antelope offense. You've also, though, got a running back in Avery Clarkson that kind of backs him up really well in that rushing attack. 85 yards per game, and Clarkson has actually found the end zone 5 times through 4 games so far here in 2019. And so Avery Clarkson, definitely a weapon in that Abernathy Antelope backfield. But I think the strength in recent weeks for Abernathy, their offense has been flashy. Their offense has been good. They've made big plays, but they're getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. That's kind of become an MO, if you will, of these Darrell Daly coach teams. A really solid defense. And this defense just keeps getting better against a really good rushing attack, maybe their best rushing attack they'll see all season last week against Post. Abernathy's defense, they only surrendered 1 offensive touchdown, and they gave up about 140 yards or so of total offense in 2.5 quarters. That was way below what Post came in averaging on the contest. They came in averaging over 310 yards of rushing per contest, and Abernathy was able to kind of get a handle on that, especially after a couple of early drives. So Abernathy's defense has been really, really good, kind of anchoring that defense, man. Dante Flores has just been exceptional for the Abernathy Antelopes. He leads the team 12 tackles per game all over the field last week against Post, and really, we just feel like we say his name a lot on the broadcast. He's doing a lot of good things for that Abernathy Antelope defense. And so Abernathy, Littlefield getting ready to do a battle coming up this Friday night from Wildcat Stadium in Littlefield, Texas. Again, Abernathy, if you will, trying to somewhat get back on track after that conundrum or whatever you want to call it last Friday night with weather and Post and trailing 14-13 after 2.5 quarters. Want to get that taste of at least semi-defeat after their mouth. Out of their mouth. Let's use that for motivation, and hopefully the Abernathy Antelopes rebound in a really big way coming up this Friday night. The Antelopes, they did fall from number 4 to number 7 in the Dave Campbell's Texas football rankings this week. Again, take that for what it's worth, 5 weeks into the season, but the 7th ranked Antelopes on the road tonight to battle the Littlefield Wildcats. Final contest before district play begins in 2 weeks. Again, we kind of throw this out at the end of every preview or pregame show that we've done. My keys to the game tonight, it's really just one key to the game. Take it for what it's worth. Take it with a grain of salt. Listen if you want to, don't if you don't. But the key to the game tonight, as far as I see it, it's going to be the battle up front. Both of these teams want to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, whether it's the offensive line or the defensive line. And if Abernathy can control the line of scrimmage, especially on defense, I think if they contain the running game of Littlefield, I think Abernathy probably wins by 2 or 3 touchdowns at least this evening. But again, we'll see what that power running game from Littlefield can muster. So I think the battle up front, the big guys in the trenches, you're going to need big games from guys like Miles Keith on that line for the Abernathy Antelopes if you want to be successful tonight against the Littlefield Wildcats. So we've got it for you. 7:15 a pregame, 7:30 the kickoff broadcast for you. Friday night in Littlefield as the Abernathy Antelopes set to battle the Littlefield Wildcats. Should be a fun one. Hopefully Abernathy can get their 4th win of the 2019 season. And so the Abernathy Antelopes and the Littlefield Wildcats hooking up here tonight from Littlefield. So we will say good night or good afternoon, good day for now, and God bless. And we'll see you just in a few hours as the Abernathy Antelopes travel to Littlefield to battle the Wildcats. This has been the Abernathy Antelope pregame show, getting you ready for the final non-district tilt of the season. This is Ty Horsford, voice of the Abernathy Antelopes, and we'll talk to you on the air here in just a little while. Go Lopes!